Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Monday of week 2 of our online e-learning. I have most of everything graded from last week. Most of you did a really good job getting everything done, staying on top of everything. Some of you, things just got away from you, so hopefully this week we can get in a groove, get in a rhythm. We can make sure that everything gets knocked out, hopefully before Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So today we're going to keep looking at matrices. We're going to be looking at matrices all week. Reminder that Friday is technically an off day for all of you, so we're only going to have 4 days worth of content. Some of you asked through that Google survey to have everything posted at once. As I complete all of this week's materials, you will have access to that document. But on our Google Classroom, I'm still just going to be posting things day by day as well for those of you who prefer it that way. We have a math department meeting at 11 o'clock today on Google Meets, so I'll have a little bit more of a better idea in terms of how things are going to be working with grading and everything else moving forward. So after that meeting, I will have everything up for the rest of you. Otherwise, you'll be able to access things day by day in the meantime. So without further ado, we are going to look at using matrices to solve systems of equations. In Algebra 1 and even Algebra 2, you did solving systems of equations. You probably use 3 primary methods: solving by graphing, solving by substitution, and solving by elimination. When you have an example like this, as 10x plus 3y equals 50, and 15x plus 3y equals 60, that's a pretty quick, pretty great way to use method to use for solving these. It gets a little bit harder though when we see examples like this to where we have 3 variables, where we have, x, y, and z. So elimination, you may have done that by hand in Algebra 2. It's a very, very long process. We are going to use matrices to make this really, really quick, really, really easy. The way that we do this with matrices right here is we are going to use something called reduced row echelon form. Or for the calculator, we want to call it RREF. This is going to kind of combine our identity matrix with a solution matrix. If you remember from last week, we talked about that identity matrix as a square matrix with 1s along the main diagonals and 0s everywhere else. So we're still going to be using that with what's called a solution matrix to get our answers for these systems pretty quick, pretty easy. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. Here we've got this first example, our 10x plus 3y equals 50, 15x plus 3y equals 60. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a matrix. And the matrix for these is really simple because all we're going to do is we're just going to take these numbers across the top and across the bottom and enter into a matrix. So this is going to be a 2 by 3 matrix. And my entries are going to be just 10, 3, and 50. Because you can see those are the coefficients and the solutions across that top matrix. And then 15, 3, and 60 along the bottom. So here's our 2 by 3 matrix. Pretty quick, pretty easy. Now, we're going to use our graphing calculators to solve these and do all the work for us. So from our graphing calculator, we are going to call up our matrix menu again. I'm going to edit it. I'm going to create this 2 by 3 matrix. And I'm going to enter in those values. So it's a 2 by 3. And you can see that I already have all my values in there already. So 10, 3, 50, 15, 3, and 60. Okay. So once you have all those typed in, always get back to that home screen. We're going to pull that matrix menu back up, and this time we're going to look at this math column, this math heading. We used it a little bit last week for determinant. We are going to come back this week, and we're going to look for our RREF. It's way down there at letter B on most calculators. Rather than scrolling all the way down, I'm just going to push up and come up from the bottom. So here it is. Make sure you don't pick REF. We want RREF, double R's. Okay? So RREF of matrix A. Sorry, I know the calculator keeps bouncing around on y'all. So RREF, matrix A. And here's our solution matrix. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this left half over here, this looks like our identity matrix. Ones along the main diagonals, zeros everywhere else. And then we've got this 210. What this 210 represent is when we set up our matrices, we had a column for x's, a column for y's, and a column for our solutions. So our matrix, here's our column for x's, here's our column for y's, and here's our solutions. So what we can see here is 1, 0, 2. This tells us that x equals 2. 0, 1, 10. 1, y equals 10. So it's always going to work this way to where our first value is going to be the x, then the y, and in a second we'll see then the z's. It'll always go in order like that. So my solutions for this are x equals 2 and y equals 10. X equals 2, y equals 10. It's that simple. Let's look at another one. Here we've got this set of 3 variables, x, y, and z. This is still, again, really, really easy for our matrix calculators. I'm going to set up this matrix, just like we did the previous one. This time, though, my matrix is going to be a 3 by 4. And I'm just going to go across the top. 2, 3. Now, that just says z, so we know that we're just going to use a 1 as a placeholder. The first solution is -1. 3, 3, 1, 1. 2, 4, 1, -2. So again, I just took the numbers from across the top, typed those in without the variables, numbers across the middle, type those in without the variables, and same thing on the bottom. Okay. Now to make this easier for the calculator, I'm going to move this over here so I can keep the calculator on the left-hand side the whole time. I think that'll make it a little bit easier. So now if we're going to create this matrix, go back to our matrix menu, edit. The matrix this time is a 3 by 4. And I've got 2, 3, 1, -1. 3, 3, 1, -1. And 2, 4, 1, -2. So we've created our 3 by 4 matrix. We can see everything's in here. Make sure everything's correct. It should be +1. Okay. I had a little typo there. Quick, easy fix, scrolling left and right. So now I'm going to exit this. And I'm going to go to my matrix menu. Math. I'm going to go to letter B. RREF. For matrix A. And voila. Again, we can see on the left-hand side, this looks like our identity matrix. 1's along the main diagonals, 0's everywhere else. And again, x equals 2, y equals -1, z equals -2. X, y, z across the top. So 2, -1, -2. X equals 2. Y equals -1. Z equals -2. Okay. And let's go at our last example. Last example, again, is going to be a 3 by 4. The only word of caution, and it's really not going to be a big deal, is that when you type these into your graphing calculators, you just have to make sure that all of your x's are lined up in a column, all of your y's are in the same column, all your z's are in the same column, and all your solutions are in the same column. So you may have to rearrange things a little bit, but all in all, 9 times out of 10, things will already be stacked pretty nice, pretty quick, pretty easy for you. So I'm not going to type out the matrix for this one. I think that by now you all can kind of just look at the equation and see what we have to create. So let's go ahead and jump right to it. So I'm going to edit this first matrix. This one's already set to 3 by 4 since it's similar to the problem we just did. So I'm going to keep it as a 3 by 4. This time I'm going to have 1, -1, 4, 11, 2, 2, -2, -3, 3, 1, 1, and 6. So again, I'm just going to make sure that I've got everything typed in correctly. Everything looks good. So matrix, math, RREF for matrix A. And here we go. So this time we can see that we have some decimals here. That's okay. They're nice decimals. 1.75, -1.25, and 2. And I can tell I'm correct because over here on the left, I still have that identity matrix. 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. So as long as you're still getting this identity matrix on the left-hand side, these will be your answers. 1.75, -1.25, and 2. Okay. Hopefully that was pretty quick, pretty easy. Hopefully that makes sense. I know that trying to do math work in a typeface type format isn't ideal. I can't really write on my computer or anything for you. I know that makes things a little bit harder, but hopefully since we're doing just about everything through the calculator, this stuff's kind of making sense. So hop on over to the Edulastic, knock that assignment out pretty quick, and then I will be in touch regarding everything else that we have for this week. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay indoors. See y'all.